The United States political system is now a complete and utter joke. You have widespread corruption with huge big money interests such as oil companies, military companies, too big to fail banks. They all simply run the place with the billions of dollars they pour into each election. Now, because of this widespread corruption, our politicians, the people who are supposed to be representing us and fighting for our interests, they are now fighting tooth and nail for the big money interests that got them elected in the first place. That's why our politicians systematically deregulated Wall Street to the point where the too big to fail banks now periodically wreck our economy. That is exactly why our politicians lobby day in and day out for more and more war, more and more young American lives to be lost overseas, to the point where we waste trillions of dollars fighting in counterproductive wars, and the military accounts for over half of our federal discretionary budget. That's why, despite the fact that we've known about this planetary crisis called climate change for decades, our so-called representatives have allowed oil companies to continue destroying our planet. These so-called representatives are divided into two major political parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. The Republicans are completely sold out on nearly every single major issue facing our country. Only a handful of Republicans take principled stances on these issues, and only on a select few of issues. The Republicans want to hail themselves the party of tax cuts and fiscal responsibility, yet under the Republican god, Ronald Reagan, the national debt nearly tripled, all the way from $907 billion in 1980 to $2.6 trillion at the end of his presidency in 1988. And under the latest Republican president, George W. Bush, our government went from a $163 billion budget surplus in 2001, thanks in no small part to the president before him, Democrat Bill Clinton, all the way down to a $1.5 trillion deficit in 2009. Now, the president after Bush, not coincidentally a Democrat, has largely cleaned up that mess, shrinking that $1.5 trillion deficit down to $400 billion. Thank you, Obama. But do not get the idea that the Democrats are squeaky clean. Oh no, in the last two elections, the Democrats have raked in over $100 million collectively from Wall Street in campaign donations, all in exchange for a large portion of the party having friendly, conciliatory attitudes towards Wall Street, playing key roles in continuing the deregulation of the big banks. However, since the 2014 midterm elections, anti-Wall Street Democrats have become a larger portion of the party, at least on the national level, as friends of Wall Street seem to turn into enemies of them. They've been key in blocking multiple attempts by Wall Street and the Republican Party to continue this cycle of deregulation. Now, I do think this can be largely attributed to a significant dip in Wall Street's sell-off money coming to the Democrats in the 2014 election. Not surprisingly, once you stop getting paid off, you actually start to do your job and act in the best interests of the people you're supposed to represent. But there's a plethora of other industries the Democrats cozy up with as well. They've allowed energy subsidies to continue to the same companies that destroy our planet. They advocate for farm subsidies to go to largely huge agriculture businesses, but they harm small farms. They vouch for the auto and bank bailouts, which costed us a shipload of money, all towards huge auto companies and too big to fail banks. And then they managed to water down serious Wall Street reforms into Dodd-Frank, which has allowed the big banks' betting market to swell $200 trillion since the recession. And do not forget, standing alongside the Republicans, granting the huge corporations tax breaks. And, as I stated, the Republicans are sold out on nearly every single major issue. Climate change, Wall Street, military-industrial complex, gun reform, you name it. Millions of dollars have flowed from that industry to the Republicans, all in exchange for the Republicans returning the favor on Capitol Hill and in the White House. So, in short, we have one party that steps on the people on their way to establishment glory, the Republicans, and then you have another party that makes half-hearted attempts to step over the people on their way to establishment glory. That would be the Republicans. Ultimately, you end up with a two-party system in which each party is sold out to a variety of big money interests and on a whole host of issues on which simply do not stand with the American people, the very folks they're supposed to represent. This is no longer a representative democracy. This is what's called an oligarchy. where a small group of people run the entire country. In the case where a small group of elite businessmen have paid off our politicians so that they tilt the system in their favor. This is an absolute fact. According to a Princeton University study of 1,800 policy initiatives from 1981 to 2002, and then public opinion for those of average income on those issues, and then those at the top on those issues. And they find that the average folks' opinion mean pretty much nothing compared to the opinions of the huge corporations and the rich sitting at the top. That's called an oligarchy. This is why Bernie Sanders is so important. He's an outsider of this corrupt, oligarchic political system, and if he generates a big enough phenomenon, a big enough political revolution, he can change this system back to the pure democratic system that existed before it. He can bring back common sense, progressive policies that built the foundation of the greatest economy known to man. But he needs your help, all of our help, to get elected, because he's going up against the political and economic elite. They've turned this entire system into their favor, and they will not go down without a fight. But there's only a few of them and hundreds of millions of us. They cannot win if we band together and lobby for real change. Bernie's pretty much our country's last shot. Because you know what? It might not be too long before progressive fighters simply cannot gain traction inside this political system. So let's jump on our only chance, people, and change this oligarchy called the United States political system. Do this so that we can tilt the tax system back into the middle class, the working class, and the poor's favor. Do this so that we do not destabilize entire regions of the world with our foreign policy. Do this so that we can start to act on climate change and save our planet from destruction. And do this so that we can get millions of people out of poverty and get some food in their stomachs because we start taking care of them as a country. Let's get in America. Vote Bernie Sanders 2016. BernieSanders.com. You all can contribute to his campaign. Register. You guys need to do this, guys. We need to jump on before it's too late. And we're going to pull a Cenk Uygur here. Wolf-Pack.com. For real though, guys, it's time to get money out of politics so that we can really start addressing the issues facing our country without the influence of big money interests.